Does everything have a bright side to it? Of course. It doesn't always outweigh the negatives, but everything has a bright side to it. This makes happiness a choice. And here we say that the discipline of being happy is the ultimate discipline. With that said, welcome to the Ultimate Discipline Podcast, where we meet with people who are practitioners of this exact discipline, and we hear their cool stories of cultivating happiness through challenges in their life. I am your host, Sean Greenspan. Let's get to it.
Rory, how are you doing, man?
Sean, I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining. How's your Monday starting?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. Yeah, the Mondays go really well. Yeah, it's still early here in BC, and happy to kick it off like this. So
I know it's been a little bit, and I've been meaning to call you because, like, I think I said over email, is January, February, March. I got a ski pass to Whistler, so I got to find a place to live up there. And I gotta know, some of the good spots to live, and I want to obviously rip it up with you too.
That's really exciting. I can't wait for you to move up there. And let's connect off the pod and talk about Whistler accommodation. There's some tricks to it, and happy to. It's going to be sweet showing you around the mountain. I know you can shred. So,
do you ski or board or?
I'm on a board.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you?
Skis.
Nice.
Honestly, I don't even know why. Like, I'm trying to think why I got back into skiing originally. I honestly think, like, it was my mom kind of skied, but, like, I just think she was like, yep, like, try skiing. And, like, that kind of, like, stuck. I never, it was always just skiing. I never snowboarded. So it was like, I never even questioned it really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see with your, ultra marathon background being into ski touring. And I've recently got into split boarding. So going with all my ski touring friends, and I can be envious of the skiers sometimes. Just the gear is lighter. It's so much quicker to transition. And no, I think it's a good background.
You have a split board?
Yeah.
Tell me what you like. So, like, obviously that's like an investment, you're making into, touring, and I'm getting a new touring setup this year because I want to do a lot in the backcountry. But tell me kind of like what draws you to touring versus, just taking the chairlift up and going the easy route there.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm if the snow is great in the resort, I will ride the resort. I love getting the laps in. And what draws me to touring is after the resort's been tracked out, and Whistler's a busy place, it can get tracked out pretty quickly. And for me, it's all just about chasing the snow. So if I know that there can be good snow a ridge or two over, then I'll bring the touring set up, get a sweat going that day, and just try and enjoy the up just as much as the down, and just the kind of exercise portion of it. And how about you?
Yeah. Pretty similar, right? Like, obviously the quality of snow, but I kind of want to dive into what you just said, enjoying the up more than enjoying the down when you're talking about ski touring, right? Because obviously the hike to turn ratio is pretty poor. But it's not just about the downhill when you're touring, right? It can't be. I mean, it's just not enough time. So what'd you kind of mean when you said enjoying the uphill?
Yeah, well, great question. Enjoying the uphill. I mean, it's kind of related to being an entrepreneur too. As you know, sometimes the effort to the down enjoyment ratio can be off kilter, similar to something like ski touring or mountain biking, where you're riding up, just enjoying the up. Yeah. So I mean, as I get older, the more I appreciate just getting my heart rate going, and how I realize how important exercise is for just like maintaining my mood, and just overall energy and ability to have that output. So yeah, enjoying the up. To it's a challenge, and just kind of appreciating that. And if you're kind of touring up and there's a tight corner and it's kind of steep and you don't have to do a kick turn, and you kind of clean it first try. It can be
Hmm.
a little thrill on its own in a weird way.
Right. Dude, you said a couple things there that I want to unpack, but first, you're related to an entrepreneur, so I did want to get a chance to introduce you, right? So I met you through Jensen and Nikolai through the Ombraz guys. I was doing marketing for them, and now you are. And for those that don't know, Rory has an awesome marketing agency, and he helps companies scale up through paid ads and other digital marketing. And then well, you can kind of dive into what you do and your next project that you're working on as well.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Yeah, I loved meeting you through Jensen and Nikolai. What a great way to connect. And then I love talking to you after to kind of get a debrief on kind of how you were thinking about their ad programs, and then how I can think about them moving forward, and some advice there. Yeah, one of the things that first stuck out when we met was yeah, just getting some of your advice on hiring and training, and I like the way you organize and do your billing with your clients too. So really appreciated you sharing that.
Well, thanks, man.
And yeah, so as you mentioned, I have a ads agency where we help mainly e-commerce businesses scale up. So if a business is kind of stuck, doing 100K a month in revenue, and typically they're running quite a bit of paid ads at that point. And that's really where I can kind of come in. We help them with their reporting, get their KPIs all in place, and then change their strategy a bit and try and take them up to that next level. Trying to 3 or 4x their revenue from there, and in like a 12-month period is typically where we work best. And then the new project is called Go Public .ai, and that was just getting off the ground when we were connecting. So it was fun to get your opinions on that early on. And the Go Public AI business has pivoted quite a bit over the years now. So it was originally launched in 2020. And just in the last 18 months, it's pivoted about 2 or 3 times. And it really emphasizes that old saying where a startup is really just a collection of the founders' skill sets, and not so much the original business model and vision going into it. So
Yeah.
on today here, it's July 11th, and you can see like Amazon's down 3%, like Tesla's down 6%. So the markets are worse than personally I've ever really seen it. And we kind of missed the big recessions in my early life. So we've had to pivot a lot. The Go Public AI business was first made to take businesses public, and currently it's not great to be an IPO or to be planning an IPO right now. So it's caused some pivots for sure.
Yeah, I like the way you said that though, because like a lot of people might think like, oh, like it's shitty time, like let's wait or quit or whatever. And it's like that didn't even sound like that crossed your mind. It's just no pivot, right? It's you can't negotiate your goals, right? You guys have this grand scheme here, and hey, it's probably the market's going to come back when we don't know, but it's going to come back, and it might be perfect time. You guys might be better situated to then launch, at that time. So, and what are you focused on now with Go Public AI?
Yeah, so we've pivoted to supporting public companies. So there's a lot of we're mainly in the small cap industry, so companies under $300 million market cap. And a lot of these businesses will, have gone public, and then have now suffered, it's maybe like a 60 to 80% sell off in their stock since IPOing in the last 6 months, and they haven't had any chance to get their stock out into the market. So there are prospective investors looking at value plays right now, but a lot of these stocks just don't have any awareness. So a company that is $100 million market cap might sound like a large business, but in terms of the general public knowing about their stock, can be really difficult. They don't typically have that awareness. A lot of them are industrial businesses, B2B, and don't have that kind of D2C reach like an apparel brand or a foods brand might have. So what we'll do is we'll do a lot of consulting with them, just on their messaging, and I try and focus on my strengths. So coming from a performance marketing background, can use some of that experience on just kind of, is this the right message that's going to be memorable when a potential investor sees it, and just try and find that alignment. So as you know, writing ad copy, can we kind of make the message as concise as possible, as clear as possible, and then can we communicate that on the right channels? So on different financial sites, via their press releases, and we'll run some lead generation ads for them as well on Google and Facebook.
Nice. It's cool that there's a big messaging aspect to it. I think a lot of people miss that in really growing their business. Right now I'm reading a book. It's actually right here. $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Have you ever read it?
Funny enough, I just read that last week and loved it. Yeah, crushed it in
great book.
It's a great book.
And it's funny, right? It's funny. A lot of it, I don't even know if, I mean, I'm sure you realize it, but a lot of it is about messaging. Like, the way that you present, the way that you present your brand is really everything. And even from like the first interaction with it, he talks a lot about, about the psychological, emotional side, which, the way he breaks it down, obviously we want to tap into people's emotion, but really getting people to focus on the dream outcome and getting out ahead of their problems with your offer is pretty good. How did you come across the book? Digitally, if someone recommended, or what happened?
Yeah, that's a great takeaway from it. How you present your business, so important, and something where my team and I are working on every day. So I came across it actually. My co-founder Nick, the Go Public CEO, found it. He's been following Alex Hormozi just on his YouTube channel for a few months now, and recommended the book to me. So I actually listened to the audiobook version, and I've just been like, that weekend, for example, it was a Friday. I had finished work. It was about 6:00, and I was just wiped from the week and couldn't spend any more time looking at a screen. And so I just put my headphones on, walked down. I'm just a few blocks away from Kitsilano Beach here in Vancouver, and was just trying to walk the seawall. And it's super busy, sunny evening, and I just couldn't even walk maybe 10 steps without having to stop and just type in a bunch of notes furiously on my phone, just
dude, that is too real.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, it took me a lot longer to get through it than the book's actual length, because I kept stopping and writing so many notes.
Oh yeah, awesome. That's just too real to when I'm listening to a book like that. Right, last night I was reading it on a beach here. So I'm in Wisconsin right now. So Lake Michigan, the beach is a block away, and I was I started writing in the book a little, but it's not there's not even enough room for that. So I came back and set up the laptop, journal, and had the book right here. I was, I don't know, I was on a meeting or whatever. And I just started a Google Doc where I'm taking notes on it all. Because those books, they are more tactical. And I think there's a value of reading it and internalizing books like that. But if you're not going to act on it, it's like going to a conference and not following up with people. It's you get good ideas. They do percolate in the subconscious, and there's a value to it. But I don't know. I don't know if you agree with me. I feel like the real value is working through it. And that's a lot of these. I feel like this self-help business type books.
Yeah. No, I hear you. We actually completely have changed the offer that we were pitching after just reading that book. So over the weekend, just kind of came up with this new idea for our offer, and as I mentioned, my close friend and co-founder in the business was also listening to it. So we just met up first thing kind of Monday evening, and the two of us just hung out for about 4 hours into the night and just completely reworked our offering. So before reading the book, we were pitching to these public companies that we help them with, we're their advisors on their team, kind of help them with everything A to Z in their messaging, and then help them get awareness and build leads.
Yeah.
And we would pitch them our retainer, pitch them some recommended ad spend, and go from there. And it would work, but we'd have a lot of meetings that we just meet with the companies, and they just couldn't see the value, especially in this market when cash is tight. So we reworked our offer, and now we call it the 90-day investor valet. And what we pitch to them is like, look, we kind of guarantee you this set amount of leads in the first 30 days. We have some quick wins for them, which was one of the biggest takeaways I love from that. Like, how can you impress them in the first week, get them to sign on, and then take part in the upside. So kind of finding out what is that value to them. Like, say they doubled their shareholder base, how much is that worth to them? Because it's obviously different depending on each company. And then we kind of work backwards from there. So get them to see the value, kind of get them to articulate it and think through it in their minds. And then we work with them going backwards, which has been a huge help.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's break that down a little. So I'm 50% the way through the book, maybe halfway, maybe a drop less. I read the first 80 pages, and then I decided to reread it and go through everything again, and like go from like little like notes in the journal, like I said, to kind of like type it out. Yeah, what quick wins, that was definitely something that I got to because of the trust involved there. I was actually recently working with a client that had like a pretty big goal, right? Pretty big goal as far as growing their social media. So we've really focused on helping companies grow their social media by systemizing the operation, right? By becoming a machine at pumping out short form content. And part of that cycle in that machine is feedback, where you can learn, you make content out, you learn based on a little bit of consulting from us and other experts, as well as feedback, what's doing well on TikTok, what's not, and helping companies become machines at creating this so they can grow themselves organically. And we still offer, paid ads, email marketing, SEO, but we find that leading with that service, it just seems very popular right now, trying to create organic content. And I kind of was thinking about how to position that offer as well, right? And what I've realized is something else I thought about was that by charging more upfront, not over the long haul, but upfront, you can ultimately deliver a better service, right? So what I would like to do for our company is start to deliver a better service from the beginning. So charge more upfront. That's the only time they pay us. Every other time they pay us is going to be based on hitting different milestones. So this many followers or whatever. And because we have more money up front, what I'd like to start doing is flying out and meeting people in person and shooting 100 or 200 videos for the whole quarter in a few days. While we're there, we're controlling production, things like that. So it's funny how like the offer is going to change the operations. But that was my biggest takeaway, was really about charging in a way you can deliver your best services, and giving them guarantees. And what I love about the book is like, it is a sales book, talking about offers, but it is totally a comprehensive business book about how to actually give the most value as well, and value that means something to them based on the problems that they have.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot in there, and sales, turning into now changing the operations of the business is amazing. That's great. Yeah, I could see how the demand for the organic content generation would be so high. All the businesses I talk to, a lot of them have ran paid ads before, and it's not new for them. Of course, they can probably improve in how they're doing it, but there's a lot of businesses that have just like a mental block of getting their business onto TikTok, which is great that yourself is able to help them take advantage of that opportunity. There's a lot of products that can do well there that just don't have that support. So that's a huge service that might have to connect you with a few businesses on that.
We love it. And it's just, yeah, it's interesting. I've realized most of the time it's a system error. And what I mean by that is it's, the owner, operator, or like the CMO or whatever, they want to be involved highly in the content, right? And it's a system error. And what I mean when I say a system error when it comes to creating content is having the operations to get out enough content on a regular basis. Because, right, let's be honest, creating 30, 60 videos and edit them and post them a month is a lot of work. But just like anything else, we need to batch it. We need to be prepared for it. We need to, any system has a feedback loop, right? So we need to incorporate a feedback loop so we can learn and grow and automate. I don't want to say guaranteed success, guaranteed growth, I'd say, right? It's pretty certain that you're going to grow. At what rate or speed, I don't think anyone can tell you that, but yeah. So that's kind of how I think about that. So Roy, I want to hop back to the beginning because you were talking about exercise, and exercise is a big part of my life. You brought up the two things that are pretty holistic. I don't hear like if I say like like what are your goals of exercising? Most people's might be I want to get stronger, I want to look better, lose weight, things like that. You said that as you've gotten older, you've realized it helps regulate your mood and increase your energy levels. The reason I want to bring those up is, think kind of the name of the podcast, right? Happiness, life's ultimate discipline. If we think about that mood and, high levels of energy are certainly associated with happiness. And I'd consider exercise a discipline, right? That's kind of the connection I'm making in my mind. And I'm wondering how, and I know this kind of put you on the spot, but how you came to those words of mood and energy, because that doesn't feel like something that you like read or heard on a podcast. It feels like a more intuitive thing that you probably didn't even realize you said. You're probably just like, but it was very honest. So I'd love to like unpack that a little with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So for me, mood can play a massive role in my life. I'm generally a happy, positive person, but there are times where I can be feeling overwhelmed or feeling anxious about the way things are going, just in different personal relationships or business relationships. And if I'm maintaining some consistency in my life is key to just kind of keeping that smooth going balance where I feel like I'm progressing forward day after day and not making a decision that's going to set me back. So to feel like I'm progressing, I'm just like a kind of a creature of habit. So if I'm
we all are.
Yeah, it's consistency is so key. So yeah, mood can affect me a lot, and as soon as I focus too much on my work and leave out the effort that I'm putting into, I know you appreciate a good morning meditation and a good exercise every day, and a great 8 hours sleep. If I'm now putting those things off to go through a work sprint where I'm trying to, do some big project to make a client happy, and I kind of neglect those things that keep me going and even keel, I can fall off pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden it's like I hit a brick wall, and I can be quite useless for a day or two, or sometimes even more, if I'm not just kind of looking after that and just being aware of how much my mood can affect my motivation, and then as soon as my motivation's gone, the creativity and all of that goes away.
So the impact's pretty big, right?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Now, I think a lot of people get that. What do you do when you do, like, I don't know, do you have like a lot of work sprints? Because, I think that's what a lot of people say, like, that makes sense, but like, I feel like I'm always like doing like a work sprint or something. Because Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you do to, like, if you do have a work sprint, like how do you kind of get around that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I've been trying to tell myself lately, and in our whole team, is that this is a marathon we're in, not a sprint, and just trying to ride that out. So, I still end up in like a mental work sprint quite often, and I just have to just maintain like what boundaries I can with myself, because like, this is my home. I work from here the majority of the time, except for when I'm traveling, and it's easy just to when
Yeah.
I'm in this space here, just feel like I need to be productive, because there's, as you can see, like there's desks all over the place. I have 3 desks in my living room, and there's people here coming and going, working all the time, and so it's just a matter of having boundaries with no one else but myself. So
Yeah.
when it comes to
Thanks.
8:30 p.m., I need to know that, look, like my phone, the kind of quiet mode is going to shut me out of my apps. I need to just close my laptop and just completely stop thinking about work then. Otherwise, it's going to bleed into my sleep, and I'm going to be waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about some presentation I'm doing or something like that. So just really having those boundaries of when to stop, when to exercise, and then
Yeah.
when to just phone a friend. And as we talked about before we started recording, community, that's important too. So
Community is huge. It's all really important. I like what you said about the marathon, not a sprint, because it's funny. I think if you're pretty organized and you know like what you're doing is effective, then that helps me feel settled. And it's generally additional work to get organized, right? To build like an actual plan versus just do on the fly. It's additional work. And then if you have a project management system or whatever you're doing to stay organized, it now becomes additional work to keep that maintained. I've committed to it for the first time in my life. The last 2 months, I hired a project manager and I outsourced an integrator, and it's really wild how much it helps, because it does allow me to, like, I don't know how to say it otherwise than like I feel like my blood pressure is lower. I feel less stressed. Um, and it's something I'm really grateful for. Tracy and Jess, you guys rock. But because it, I like had a realization. So for those that don't know, this weekend I had my ultra marathon. I do something I call it OG, but I don't run with a watch. I don't run with a cell phone or headphones, heart rate, nothing. So, um, you know, for like 30, this was 31.2 miles. The whole time I had no idea how far I was, no idea how long I'd been running, no idea what pace I was running. Um, and on top of that, like, I felt like I trained hard. I feel like I'm in good shape. So I entered thinking like I'm gonna do, I'm definitely gonna finish towards the top. And people are flying by me right from the beginning. I mean, flying by me. Then we hit this big downhill. I don't love downhills. I'll crush the uphills. I don't love the downhills. Downhills, people flying by me. And then you start to judge people, right? I'm like, that dude's like a little overweight. He is not as in good shape as me. And then you're like, I need to run faster, right? Even though, like, of course, you should just run your own race. And I'll be like, this like little girl, just little girl woman, but she was like so tiny, just flew past me. Like, her legs didn't look like extremely strong, which you obviously need strong legs to run the mountains. And I started like getting in other people's like heads. And then I was like, no, I gotta stop and just, be in my own head, in my own world, run my own race, because I don't care if I beat people or not, right? It's about just like running. And I ended up just like sticking to like what felt like the right pace. And classic like marathon, right? These people that like flew past me, like on the back half of the race, I'm just clipping at like 2 people a mile. Like every mile, I'm just starting to pass people. And I didn't start running faster. I just didn't start running slower. And it's funny because, like, you always get like a takeaway from like any these long endurance events, I think. And obviously, people always say like it's not a marathon, not a sprint, but I'm so impressed to hear you not only living by it, but sharing it with your team, Rory. Like, that's so awesome, because I experience how hard it, like, everyone can understand it. Cool, pace yourself, right? Don't stress about the small stuff. But it's hard to do, right? Because I'm telling you, I fell into the trap. People start passing me. I'm like, I'm gonna run faster, and it's obviously a silly error to get into.
I love that though. I mean, very honest way of how you were feeling. Kind of, I think it's our human nature to look at other people. Like I do this surfing sometimes. I'll paddle out and be like, okay, well, like that guy looks, maybe I can get ahead of that guy, or I can kind of get into their mindsets and then have to pull back and be like, wait, what am I doing? I'm here to just enjoy myself and just enjoy this. So yeah, I really love that you shared that, and just the mindfulness of being able to kind of center yourself and realize that, oh, actually, that's not going to help me.
It's funny. Yeah, you surf. That's awesome. That's a good way to disconnect.
Yeah, great. And yeah, I like to do it without a surf watch or anything like that too. And
That's awesome.
just be out there.
Dude, it is funny, and like I'm not proud of that. Like my natural reaction was to judge people, but one thing I will say is I am happy that I choose to do this with no headphones, no watch, nothing, no interference of my own thoughts. Because, like I said, my natural reaction, my first thought, and your thoughts aren't who you are, your actions are who you are, right? My thought was like, oh, like I should be ahead of that person. I'm just judging people, which who knows, they could be way faster, whatever. But when you have all that quiet time, and it's a lot of quiet time, you kind of start to like actually have time to think and act as the person that you want to be and that you truly are. It's something I've learned from some buddies that are in the running space too, and it's something that I'm trying to extrapolate and pull into other areas of my life, right? Like it's not like pulling that into like a work day, like you said, putting your phone down 8:30. It's not that picking your phone up is a bad choice, but I look at it like it interferes with your living. Like, what I mean? You're starting to react versus act. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I love that there's such a focus on just happiness and mental state here on the pod,
Yeah.
and kind of going back to working with other people that are running their businesses. I can find happiness comes up in certain areas. So like both of us are working with lots of founders. It sounds like that maybe have smaller teams that they're used to wearing a lot of hats. And I've found personally working with founders that sometimes there can be some identity that's tied up in the brand. So if you're pitching ideas on new creative or new messaging, it can cause some discomfort for them. And I was curious to hear from you how you manage their emotional states when changing the process for their creative, taking them out of their comfort zone and telling them that their videos need to be chopped up in ways that they might not be comfortable with at the beginning. Have there been some patterns there, techniques that you found to able to manage those mental hurdles that might come up?
Yeah. What a smart question. You clearly do what you do well to ask that deep of a question, because you're not just focused on like the surface stuff anymore. And I've had a few wins in that area, and I definitely had a few losses. There's a couple of people that I work with that I work with companies in the fitness and wellness space primarily.
Okay.
Sometimes the environmentally friendly space as well, like which is generally more of like a byproduct of like what they do, like Ombras, right? Like they are not in the environmentally friendly space, but that's the mission behind their company, is to plant mangrove trees. So that's kind of like, and I like to have a loose definition around it, for better or for worse, but Anyways, so a lot of them in the fitness or wellness space, they generally have like a very specific message. They're generally very well studied and they want everything to come off like perfectly. And, I have clients that I'm maybe like, hey, okay, that 45-minute YouTube video you made, like, let's make that a 13-second TikTok, right? And what I've found with them is, I don't know if this is because they're in the fitness and wellness space or because they're entrepreneurs, but what I found is successful in getting them to change their paradigm is to almost bring it up as like a challenge, right? So creating paid ads, creating a hook for a 7-second video that gets someone to stop on scrolling, it's very difficult, and the you need to leave stuff out. That is a fact. You can't tell your whole story there. So I generally try to get people to think of it as like a challenge. Like, can you write something that actually gets people's attention, the right person's attention, in 6 words? And if you can, then the other thing is, like you said, their identity's wrapped up in the business. So what I get is, well, we don't just do that. We do this, 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 this. And I'm like, okay, cool. But we're just selling the next step, right? Like we're just selling a click to the website. We're not selling, that someone needs to sign on to your big retainer, right? Like, because wouldn't you rather sell them that on a call, if it's a call, or on your website or whatever? So those are some of the things that I definitely tried to do that have worked. I will say, kind of like forcing including them in the process is important. But now I kind of have a question for you. I've struggled with including people in the process. And now I'm using too much of their time because I try to be highly efficient for them. Right.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with a founder, like, the individual efficiency of that person becomes the efficiency of a business if they're 20 people or less. Right. And there's a lot of companies, 20 people or less, that do millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the size of the team, yeah, definitely doesn't matter in some respect. But yeah, I get that, and I mean, also going back to the $100 million offers, like, the value you can provide is like saving them time, and yeah, it can be difficult. So I love the idea of including them in the process and getting them involved, and it yeah, to save them time. It really comes down to just how much they can let go of that control. And if you can, like, set the expectations in the beginning and say, look, like, this process, if you trust me, can take an hour of your time a week, or if you can't let go of the control, can take you 5 times as long, maybe even longer, if everything needs to be set up and reviewed. So I mean, I think it's fantastic that you're flying out there and meeting them, and like shooting the content in person some of the time. And just like, personally, I'd like to have kind of fewer accounts and fewer clients that I can go deeper with, that we can build up that trust early on, so that it can save them some time and process. If they just they think, okay, well, like, I know that you're going to be a good steward of our brand and can trust you here, but I haven't always had success getting to that place with certain founders, and like, those have been the programs that either weren't successful or just kind of were better off with a different team. So yeah, still not a 100% success rate there in terms of gaining that trust, but when that trust is there, it can sure save a lot of time.
Yeah. You talked about mini milestones in the beginning. That helps with trust, right? Talk to me about that, because you said that was one of your biggest takeaways from the book.
Yeah. Those mini milestones, and it's a competitive space out there, really, in any regard right now, especially with markets being the way they are. Everyone is watching their wallet, thinking, oh shoot, I should probably open up our books and try and gain a few more clients here. And so I find that there's a lot of competitors in the space, whether it's on working with the public markets or working with the e-commerce companies that I do. And so, typically each business I talk to that is open to proposals is getting proposals from multiple different clients. So sometimes those quick wins can help stand out and get more trust and get you that next meeting. So for example, I got asked the other day, with our program, and how fast. So can you tell me, how you onboard a client? And what they really wanted to know was how fast we could turn this around for them. And I explained the whole process, and they said, "Well, that's great." And I didn't pick up that they wanted to know just exactly the time duration. And then I said, "Well, really, like our designer comes over, and him and I work together, and we could get this turned around in 3 days for you." And his eyes just lit up, and he goes, "Wow, like the fastest I've heard from another competitor is a month turnaround." So that was enough to get us
Awesome.
that next meeting. And it can create a lot of pressure for the team if we now have this tight timeline and we want it to be our best work to build that trust early on. Because one of the best ways to ruin trust early on is to deliver something mediocre as your first submission to them. So it does definitely creates a lot of pressure, and to turn things around quickly, but also turn things around well. But if you do, can really help.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got a client for you. I'll send it to you after this call. A client I'd love. I think it'd be great for you to work with.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Just jot it down so I actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, dude, we got a few minutes here, and I want to ask you. So you're an entrepreneur who started a company for a reason, right? Presumably, didn't fall into it. Stuck with it. Found kind of wanted to start another company, and now you have. Um, Talk to me about how that relates to like your overall happiness. And I don't mean more like I'm an entrepreneur, I control my schedule, or I don't report to anyone. More like from a purpose standpoint. I'd love to understand how doing what you're doing kind of falls into your master plan, if you will, or maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe it's a means to an end or something. But that's something I'm asking much more, not to put you on the spot, much more out of curiosity, because it's something that I think I contemplate quite a bit.
I love that question. Yeah, so I originally started my own business and left the big agency I was working for previously as the more freedom fighter persona. So wanting to go on vacation whenever I wanted, and to travel and live this lifestyle that I thought was enticing. And I quickly changed my mindset after that. So I found that if say I'm only working 20 hours a week, I can enjoy that for a few weeks, and then after a while I find myself not happy, even though I do have all of this time. So for me, it has now changed in the last 5 years of running my own business to the purpose and like the story I'm able to tell myself at the end of the day. So if I can contribute in a meaningful way to causes and values I care about. So, for example, like you mentioned, working with Ombras, like they're one of the most carbon negative products on the market right now. So, like being able to help that team spread their mission with my strength gives me fulfillment. And then on the public company side, one of the areas we're focusing on right now is health tech. So, if we can help a business that's trying to improve patients' lives in the hospitals, and I'm able to do what I know how to do and help them with their marketing and acquisition, and that's going to help that business have a larger reach, then it makes me happy and fulfilled. And I know that I could start my own project to help improve people's lives, but it's not maybe maximizing my skill set. So I found out quickly through other crowdfunding campaigns that I ran and whatnot that my skill set isn't on operations, it isn't on logistics, it isn't on even sales. It's really my skill set is just on like understanding human psychology and messaging and ad platforms. And personally, I feel like I can have the biggest impact to what I care about by just being good at a few things and then applying that to businesses that have a greater impact than I could make on my own.
You rock, man. It's so funny. Someone else on this podcast, Ben, he owns a company called Malama Mushrooms. He's CEO, and he says, as a founder and as a company, so both an individual level and a business level, he said, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I love that because, like you were, exactly like you were saying, like you can do anything, but you can't do it all at the same time, right? At least, and not the start. But it's almost uncanny the way you explained it. So the way you explain what you're trying to do. I'm going to tell you what my company's mission statement is, and tell me if you hear.
Please, yeah, I'd love to hear
some resonance. It's to expand the impact of do good companies through digital marketing. And it's exactly that. I was in the corporate space and I was like, I kind of got a hang of this marketing thing. At least I felt I did. But, I was working for a company, Milwaukee Power Tools. I loved them. I still rep them. That's nice. Their logo. I would say for working in corporate space, it's the best opportunity you could have ever asked for. I just was looking for something that more related to my personal needs, or my personal interest, which was health and wellness.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me try to take marketing to companies I know. And same thing. I tried to start a company myself to take people on backpacking trips and like guided trips. And I don't know, the logistical nightmare of like insurance and liability just made me feel, I lost my motivation. But I thought, more partner up with people that are doing some cool work is fun. It's also cool that you're in the health tech space. There's this company I know that they partner with health tech companies and they do their software. So they help these health tech companies basically, like if a doctor has an idea, how do we turn that idea into a tech? And then they hand it over to a marketing team. And I think that'd be a great introduction for you.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, she was on this podcast, Juliana.
Okay, nice.
You should listen to her episode. Tech Slice.
I'll write that down right now.
Yeah, Tech Slice. They're based out of Maryland, so I'll reach out for sure.
And yeah, I think that's a big reason you and I connected early on. So yeah, just I love how you have it in words there, just supporting do good companies and I think that's a nice clear way to just communicate the message. So it doesn't have to be kind of one space in particular, but just companies that have that mission, that kind of ESG mission, and versus
It's funny. I realized I spent a lot of time on others messaging, so I went to focus on my own. I don't love the do good, so I changed that actually quite a bit. So the mission is expand the impact of. I've had do good companies, mission driven companies, fitness and wellness companies, and then depending on how brief I want it, really what I like is expand the impact of wellness companies, something like that, just short and concise. Depending on where it's going, sometimes I add through digital marketing. And then, obviously as a messenger yourself, then you have a value proposition. And the value proposition I've been playing with has been to help companies become machines at creating short form content. And again, if I have more words to play with, then I say for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and paid ads. Right. Because I don't, I do find it's an operational issue more than a creative. Generally, people are pretty creative with their own company. But Rory, man, this was an absolute pleasure. I learned some stuff about you I didn't know, and I loved it.
Same here. Yeah, it's great to connect, Sean, and really excited about your move to Whistler.
Yeah, man, we'll connect on that for sure.
You're gonna love it there.
It'll be nice. We met, I guess, technically we met during the COVID era. So fall under one of those categories of people I know at this point fairly well and never met. So we got to change that.
Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Rory, I appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you, man.
Same, Sean. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.